Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. As peaceful good morning to each and everyone, especially to our instructor, Ma'am Alyasmin Yamat. My name is Muslima Sumaradsak from Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Science 1A. So for today's, I'm the reporters, so we will discuss about phrase identification. So first, we will gonna identify what is praise. A praise is a combination of two or more words that make sense but not complete sense. So ibig sabihin, ang praise ay binubuo siya ng dalawa o higit pang words that make sense but not a complete sense, or in other hand, does not express a complete sentence. So this group of words does not include the subject and the object. So it means, the praise, hindi dito nakapaloob ang subject at saka ang object. Therefore, our praise cannot stand alone as a sentence because it cannot give a complete meaning. So ang praise ay hindi natin siya matatawag na sentence kasi nga, hindi siya nagbibigay ng complete meaning. Hindi siya nagbibigay ng complete thoughts, idea, kung ano talaga ang gustong ipahiwatig nito. So let's proceed to the given example. Number 1 example, he bought an expensive car last Sunday. Number 2, the woman in the room is my aunt. Number 3, she stayed at school for few hours. So, i-identify natin ngayon kung saan dito ang phrase. So, the example number 1, ang phrase dito is unexpensive. Because we already know a phrase is a combination of two or more words that make sense but not complete sense. So unexpensive does not include the subject and the object. At saka we already know a phrase cannot stand alone as a sentence kasi it's an alone part. So the example number 2, the woman in the room is my aunt. So the phrase in that sentence is in the room because a phrase is a combination of two or more words that make sense but not complete sense. So the halimbawa dyan sa number 2, in the room. So hindi nakapaloob dyan yung subject, and we already know na hindi siya yung complete sentence or hindi siya nagbibigay na complete meaning. So in the number 3, she stayed at school for few hours. So our phrase for that sentence is for few hours. Because for that few hours, hindi siya nagbibigay na complete meaning kung anong tinutukoy dito for that few hours. Maraming mga pwedeng tinutukoy dyan. Although nagbigay ako dyan ng mga sentence para lang to identify kung ano yung sinasabi nating or ano yung tinatawag na phrase. So, therefore, ang mga phrase dyan, sa number 1, unexpensive, sa number 2, and the room, and number 3, for few hours. Another example for the phrase is in the park, in the east, under the tree, on the chair. So, hindi ko na dyan sinulat kasi we already know naman kung ano yung mga in the park, in the east, under the tree, on the chair, or etc. So, try to observe. In the park, diba wala siyang specific kung ano yung tinutukoy doon na in the park. Who's in the park? Ano yung nandun sa park? Sino yung nandun sa park? Anong nangyayari doon sa park? Anong ganap doon sa park? Another thing is in the east. What there's in the east? Anong meron doon? Hindi kasi siya naka-specify. Hindi siya nagbibigay ng kabuuang detalye to give more information to be able to understand or to be able to gain to know what the main point of that. So, the next one is under the tree. What's there under the tree? So, hindi natin alam kung anong nandun. So, wala siyang specify. And that's an example of phrase. So, now let's proceed to the type of phrases. The number 1 is noun phrases. A noun phrases, a phrase that act like a noun in a sentence is called noun phrase. A noun phrase consists of noun and other related words which modify the noun. A noun phrase works maybe as a subject, an object, or a complement. So, ibig sabihin, a noun phrase or a noun phrase is consists of a noun and the other related words that can modify a noun or it can describe a noun. So, try to look at or identify or understand the given example. So, the number one is early to bed is a good habit. So, the number two, she is wearing a nice blue skirt. So, the number one example, our noun phrase in that sentence is early to bed. Because early to bed is other related words and that modify the noun bed. So take note, we have the pre-modifiers and pro-modifiers. The pre-modifiers come before the head noun and pro-modifiers come before a head noun. So let's proceed to the example number 2. So in the example number 2, she is wearing a nice blue skirt. So our noun phrase in that sentence is a nice blue skirt. A nice blue skirt is other related words that modify the noun skirt. So it means in that two example, the number one, early to bed is our noun phrase, and then the number two, our noun phrase in that sentence is a nice blue skirt. So let's proceed to the primary function of a noun. So these are the primary function of a noun phrases. Can act as a subject, can act as a direct object, can act as indirect object, can act as the object of a preposition. So, the example of phrases acting as a subject, the number one, the red house down the street is beautiful. The number two, the big blue umbrella is very costly. So, in the number one example, the red house is our noun phrase. So, the red house or the word the red is modify or it's describe our noun house. At the same time, the red house is acting as a subject of that given sentence. So in the number 2, the big blue umbrella is very costly. So in that given example, the big blue umbrella is our noun phrase because the big blue word or the big blue, it's modify or describe the noun umbrella. So at the same time, the big blue umbrella is act as a subject of that sentence. So let's proceed to noun phrase acting as a direct object. So the example number 1, I want swimming costume. The number 2, the boy kicked the ball. So in the number 1 example, I want swimming costume. So our noun phrase in that given example is swimming costume. So the swimming, it's modify the noun costume. At the same time, it's acting as a direct object of that sentence. So in the number 2, the boy kicked the ball. So the noun phrase in that given sentence is the ball. At the same time, the ball acting as a direct object of that given sentence. So now let's proceed to the noun phrase acting as an indirect object. So the number 1 example, Liana gave the little girl a puppy. Number 2, John gave his brother a present. So in the number 1 example, our noun phrase here is the little girl and a puppy. So the verb in that sentence is give. And that give action or the action of give done upon in a topic. So at the same time, the topic is our direct object. So, ang topic na yan, ang recipient ng topic na yan is the little girl. So, ang little girl, ang tawag sa kanya is indirect object. So, now let's proceed to the given example in number 2. John gave his brother a present. So, we have two noun phrases here in that sentence. So, the first is his brother and a present. So, the verb in that sentence is give. So, that action of give done upon in a present. So, that present is our direct object. So, in that present, the recipient of that direct object is his brother. And his brother act as an indirect object of that sentence. Noun phrase acting as an object of a preposition. So the example here, number 1, she drove in a car. Number 2, the airplane flew over the river. So in the number 1 example, a car is a noun phrase that or which is coming after the preposition in. So it acting the object of a preposition in. So the number 2, the airplane flew over the river. So the river is a noun phrase. So that the river which is acting the object of preposition over. So now, let's proceed to the number 2. So the number 2 is a prepositional phrase. So, a prepositional phrase is a phrase that starts with the preposition and is followed by the object of the preposition. Between the preposition and the object preposition are words that modify the object. So, from the word preposition, alam natin ang mga preposition ay ang at, before, and, on, above, across, after, and etc. So, ang preposition dito is nagsisimula siya, o ang tinatawag dito, o ang prepositional phrase ay nagsisimula siya in a preposition at sinusundan siya ng object of the preposition. So, in a prepositional phrase are words that modifying the object, or between the preposition and the object preposition, it can describe or identify the object. So, another thing, a prepositional phrase act as an adjective or as an adverb. So now, let's proceed to the prepositional phrase as adjective. So, ang halimbawa niya dito, the guy in the blue skirt is my friend. So, starting with the preposition in, and shirt is the object of the preposition. And the blue, modifying words that it's modify a noun, shirt. So, the whole phrase in the blue shirt, that modifying a noun, guy. So, nagbibigay siya ng information which guy in the blue skirt. So now, let's proceed to the example number 2. The book under the table was kept with me last week. Again, i-identify natin dito saan dito ang prepositional phrase natin. So, ang prepositional phrase natin dito is under the table. So, under is a preposition. And the table is the object of the preposition. So, under the table giving information about the book, and it helps us to identify the book. So, ano yung tinutukoy natin dito na book? So, andun siya sa under the table. So, let's proceed to the prepositional phrase as adverbs. So, for the example number 1,
she will meet me after the class. So again ha, i-identify natin dito saan dito ang prepositional phrase natin. So ang prepositional phrase natin dito is after the class. So after is our preposition and the class is our object of preposition. So now, so that phrase after the class working as an adverb here because it's giving information about the verb meet. So she will meet me after the class. So it can telling us or is tell us when the action happened. So now let's proceed to the example number 2. I mediate in the morning. So again, we will gonna identify saan dito ang prepositional phrase. So, ang prepositional phrase natin dito is in the morning. So, in is our preposition and morning is our object of the preposition. So, now, it's give information about the word mediate. So, it's telling us the time of the action. So, when do I mediate? So, I mediate in the morning. So, a prepositional phrase in the morning modify the word mediate. So now, let's proceed to the example number 3. So, in the example number 3, Mono is throwing a party at his place. So now, i-identify na naman natin ang prepositional phrase dito. So, ang prepositional phrase dito sa given example in number 3 is at his place. So, alam natin at is a preposition and place is object of preposition. So, nagbibigay siya ng impormasyon about the place of the action. So, we have seen that a prepositional phrase start with a preposition. So now let's forward to the number 3. So the number 3 is adjective phrase. Adjective phrase is a group of words that modifies a noun or pronoun in a sentence. It can be placed before or after the word noun or pronoun it modifies or describe. So ibig sabihin, ang adjective phrase is modifies a noun or it can describe a noun or pronoun in a sentence. So, let's move forward to the given example. So, the number 1 example, my dog Jimmy is very smart. So, we will gonna identify the adjective phrase here. So, ang adjective phrase is very cute that describe the noun. So, it's give more information about it. So, meron siyang head adjective cute. And its modifier very. And together, they're modifying the noun dog. So, let's move to the number 2 example. So, the number 2 example, he's dating a very smart girl. So, i-identify natin kung saan dito ang adjective phrase. So, the adjective phrase is very smart. That modifies a girl. So, mapapansin natin na ang adjective phrase can also come before and after the noun or the pronoun it modifies. So, again, let's proceed to the example number 3. The guy in the red shirt is my neighbor. So, again, i-identify natin dito saan dito ang ating adjective phrase. So, the guy in the red shirt is my neighbor. So, ang ating adjective phrase is and the red shirt. That modifying the word guy na nagbibigay sa atin ng impormasyon or it's given information about it. So, let's proceed to the given example number 4. So, the number 4, your father is not nice to me. So, again, i-identify natin saan dito ang ating adjective phrase. So, our adjective phrase here is nice to me. That describe the subject, your father, and it telling us how father is. So, nice is our adjective and to me is our modifying phrase. So now, a prepositional phrase that modifying the object. So hope you understand. So the remaining type of phrases ay i-continue siya ng dalawa kong kasamahan na si Norhamin Pagital at si Nordin Ainun.